Some of you may know that my friend Fiona is in hospital and she is fighting for her life. And the other night, by the way, I have permission to tell this story. The other night she texted me in high distress, and I happened to be at my friend's house, and I was driving home and I got on the telephone to her immediately. And on the way home, I realized I was actually really close to her hospital and decided to pull in and park. And as she was talking to me, it was really hard to hear her, and she was in a pretty difficult space in her mind. And I said to her, Fee, I've parked outside. And she said, what? And I said, I'm outside and I'm coming in. I am coming in to see you. I am going to be by your bedside very shortly. And she was like, Suze, it's not going to happen. You can't get in. The hospital is locked up. And I said to her, just hang on. I am on my way. And so as I was walking towards the hospital, I had this moment where I don't know quite what I was doing, but I just went to this higher thing, you know, this, whatever this is up here, whether it's the universe, or it's a God, it's a spirituality, or it's just something beyond myself. I just said, please open every door that you can to allow me just to get to her bedside tonight. And lo and behold, I got to the hospital, it was all closed up, and someone would hold a door open for me. The lift worked without a swipe card. I buzzed the buzzer to get onto the ward and the nurse let me in. This is like 10 o'clock at night. And so I walked through the ward and I walked straight to her bedside. You should have seen her face. I wish I had recorded it, because she was like, oh my God, you're standing here. She said, I thought never in a minute. She goes, I was expecting your phone call to tell me that you were not going to be able to get in. And I said to her, Fiona, I knew I was going to get in because I wanted to see you. Actually, it's harder to get out of a hospital than it is to get in, to be quite frank, because then what happened after our hour-long conversation, and that's not my story to tell, we were trying to find a way to get out, and it's pretty much dead on the ward. You know, people are just sleeping and nurses are doing their thing, and it was... Fiona accidentally pressed the emergency button, which we didn't know we were doing, and then 10 security guards just rocked up. The beautiful thing about it is that I'm on my way out, you know, I've actually held the door open for them. I just think this is hilarious. And they're coming for this critical incident, and me and Fiona were like, oh, we kind of realized that Fiona and I are the critical incident. Anyway, thankfully they laughed and they were very gracious, and I want to explain this image to you. I turned around and I saw Fiona laughing with these, you know, big burly security guards and the nurses and everybody kind of having a bit of fun. The fact that I was actually trying to break out and we'd pressed the emergency button. The beautiful thing about this are the lessons that we learned. But I got home and Fee had texted me, oh my God, that was the best night of my life. You should have seen more and more security guards arrived after you left. And it got me to thinking quite a lot about a few things. One thing in particular being that even when you think the stories are finished, even when you are at the point of questioning life and questioning whether there's anything more to be done in the world, there are still more stories to create. Even though we didn't intend to create that story, even though we didn't realize that was going to occur, I think two things happened. Action and humanity came together. I knew within myself very deeply that humanity was on the other side of those rules, those doors that were closed, the structures that are in place. But sometimes I think we forget that if something is bigger that's on the other side of what we think is the inability to move through something because of social norms, consensual reality, you know, the things that I understand that they govern us to help us navigate the world together. I do understand that rules and societal norms and all those things have a valid place, because as humans, our job is to navigate with one another, and we need some set of standards. But I'm talking about also these internal barriers. Like, it reminds me so deeply that in our internal barriers, you know, how many times have we stopped at the front door and gone, it's locked? Sorry, I can't get in. How many times are we going to allow ourselves to believe everything that we think and feel, but also everything that navigates around us that is maybe seemingly there to protect us, but sometimes the thing on the other side is worth breaking through to. And Fiona is worth breaking through to because it's humanity and it's love and it's connection and it's what she needed. The other thing that I recognize in the story is turning up. And these are Fee's words. She turns up to her life every time she has to have treatments and surgeries and injections and pain. And when we turn up to ourselves, are we turning up? I don't know about you, but I am 100% committed to having the best possible experience I can have in my life because I have been gifted this experience. I really want us to have the best experience we can have. And sometimes what happens is we prohibit and inhibit ourselves from being able to do so because we haven't been able to build up this internal fortitude or core, because we couldn't handle stuff a long time ago when it happened to us, and therefore we keep it in us and it becomes this built-in barrier because we don't allow ourselves to experience all of the experiences that are available to us, and we start getting stuck. And so when I think about this, if you want to call it a metaphor, template or story, how quickly did we turn distress into the best night of my life? How quickly did that happen? I've really got an itchy face, I've just got to do that. How quickly did it happen that we went from this is unbearable to a story to be told, even when it was the hardest possible thing that could be happening? It just reminds me that the barriers sometimes in front of us, if we have got something so emphatic, something that we believe in so much, that is on the other side of what seems like an obstacle, we will move through it. We will find a way to get there. And to do that, we've got to recognize that some things are obstacles and some things are perceived. And there are stories that can be navigated and developed no matter how many things we've got to move through. We've got to turn up to ourselves. Now, I watch her today in her hospital bed in so much pain, and she turns up. She turns up because she wants her life. And I do think that when you peel it all back, all of the stuff that we put ourselves through as humans, we need to come back to one or two really critical things. And that is, relationships are some of the most fundamental things we could possibly work on. That's what I do for a living. I work on how we think and feel about ourselves, the relationship that we have for ourselves, and then how we interrelate with other people. And whether that is families, communities, society, organizations, passions, hobbies, whatever it is that we are working on in our life, fundamentally underpinning the entire thing is the relationship that we have with ourselves and each other. And when you have action and humanity and a clear direction and stories to tell along the way, I get to the point where I think to myself, what else is there? I want us to be liberated from the things that we don't need to be continually allowing to become like a shackle or a closed door. Where can we take this story and this template, and I will do the same thing for me, but where can we take this and translate it, contextualize it into other areas of our life. Things that we want to achieve, ways in which we want to be, so that we can have the best experience and then enable ourselves to be in the best space that we possibly can be, so that other people can have amazing experiences as well. Or have the best experience or the better experience. I hope this serves you somehow. I really hope this serves you in a way of just helping us all to think about what is it that we can do to allow ourselves to tell the stories, turn up to ourselves and each other, and recognize that we can change distress or adversity into laughing in the best night of our lives pretty quickly through action and connection. And if nothing else, I broke into a hospital.